You know what they say, right? That the truth will set you free. But first, you're gonna be upset. There'll be some things said in this movie that will upset some people. Truth said to your face that you don't usually hear. And the brothers telling you that truth, they already got their boardroom hustle on, their street hustle. They're making money. They're bringing their A game. They're just trying to see that you can bring yours. The truth is, about 75% of white kids graduate with their high school class. For Asian kids, the number goes up a little bit to 77%. And for African American kids, the number goes down to 50%. That's right, we have a 50% dropout rate, and it's mostly young brothers. About dropping out of high school. What are you dropping out to do? Well, we wouldn't be the success we see, right? So what do we see? We see the ball players balling, we see the rappers rapping. That's what we want to do. Tell me, man, a lot of brothers come up and think, oh, I could just jump into the hip-hop game. What do you say to them?
You know, everything is easy once you take the time to learn how to do it. Whatever game you want to get into, G-A-M-E, then, you know, you have to learn it. And then after learning it, you got to try to master it, or you got to try to bring your talents out through the structure of what the game is all about.
A lot of cats that come up to me and say that they're thinking about dropping out of high school, getting the rap game. I just plead with them to you know, don't make that mistake. You know, it isn't as easy as you think it is. If you glamorous lifestyle, you think that these people somehow lucky. There's so many people that have the dream to become a successful entertainer. The window of people who actually make it is very, very small. Only like 1 in a million are able to achieve that dream.
I do a lot of workshops with black boys and Latino boys around the country. And these young brothers, all they aspire to be is 3 things: be a rapper, a ball player, or a hustler.
So you want to play pro basketball? Well, ask yourself a critical question. How many players do they need each year? Maybe 1 to 2 a team? Well, that'll be about what? 30 new players getting into the NBA each year? 30 players out of millions and millions of us want to play pro basketball. Only 30.
Being educated has helped me on the court. Some of the best basketball players that I've ever played against are the smartest basketball players, because you can depend on them being able to execute a play. It's all about your intellectual strength. And if you think it's about physically what you can do with your body, that can be taken away from you in an instant.
Almost all of my success is attributed to my education.
Plan on dropping out. Just give me a little scenario of what might happen. Nothing.
Think of an office building with a lot of doors. You got all these students going in these doors, and coming out the other side is doctors, lawyers, school teachers, anything you want.
Now imagine this putting 2 doors in the same building, and one says rapper, and one says ball player. And now you got all of us, all the brothers, running for those 2 doors. So imagine everybody else is shooting at a really big target, and we're shooting at a really narrow target. And our target has a timeline. If we don't get through the doors by the time we're 30, it's game over.
Because the youth, that's military is looking for youth.
For a lot of us, the military,
is a great way to escape some of the environments that we grow up in the cities. And the greatest thing in military office, I think, is an equal playing field. The downside of joining the military is we are at war right now, and it's a very dangerous war.
Here's where the story gets headed. You're out on the street. Got no education. You didn't make it to the hip-hop game, you didn't make it to the ball game, and you didn't enlist in the military. You still gotta eat, you still gotta make money, you still gotta pay rent. You still want all the fly lifestyle, all the women, the jewelry, all of it. So how do you get it? Illegally. But the catch is, if you don't.
Hey, yo, come here, man. That 5 week.
Hey, that baby, hey, I got something for you right in here. That's something special tonight.
Guys, we're gonna change some things up because obviously, I don't think the library wanted all this knowledge in the same room. So we have some trouble here. We would encourage everybody to go online and look at this video. It's called The A Game documentary. Please make sure that you do that. So for the next Living Like a Boss, for the next one, we can come back and talk about it. One quick thing while we're getting ready for the panel discussion, we're gonna call all the individuals that's on the panel to come up here, bring your chair with you, come grab a seat. We got chairs. Boy, I tell this guy here, I tell you, Mr. Gadsden, I tell you, this guy, he's a boss. He lives like a boss, man. While we're getting that straightened out, one of the things, I said it on a program like this once before, wasn't as good, but and it actually inspired a poem one time. But and the only reason I say that is that I think I want to give you some credit that you're doing more than just touching the surface, and that's a big thing. Usually when I go to stuff like this, I get mad. When I leave here, I'm happy. So I want to just say that was on my heart and on my mind, because usually I leave stuff and I'm like, that's not right. That's not how that works then. So that was just something to say to you because I felt it, and we're gonna get ready for this panel discussion as we get everybody seated. I'm gonna turn this part over to Mr. Arthur Gaston.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, let me tell you, I'm a firm believer that when you have more than one person receiving your message, then you can do, as young folks say, kick knowledge, as long as they want to receive it. So don't worry about how many people here, because right now what we need to do is have a discussion about the things that can change our community. But before I go any further, I need to address two very important things. Number one, I was blessed to receive a phone call about five weeks ago, maybe longer. And a young lady called me and said that she had heard that I probably would be a good prospect for the B.O.S.S panel. She didn't know really what I wanted to do. But I have developed a friend in Regina. When I look at sisters, I look up here for intelligence. Very intelligent worker. Man, will work hard. Her and Nadine, both of them. Man, we meet almost once a week to discuss this event. And we discuss other things. But two of the hardest working women that I know is Miss Nadine and Miss Regina, and we need to acknowledge that. Thank you. Now we're going to get to the ground rules. Brothers, I know everybody has something to say. You've been waiting to just let it out. I know that. I respect it. So if I have to cut you off, just credit to my head, not to my heart. But we don't give everybody a chance to say what they have to say. We want the audience to participate and, respect other people's opinion. I know everybody wants to talk about Tavon. I know we're going to get to that. But first, we're going to deal with the B.O.S.S principles. Let's introduce everyone to this panel. And I want you to select one of the B.O.S.S principles and state your view on it. Start with the brother here.
My name is Travis Green. I have Lifting Hearts Foundation. It's an organization focused on uplifting the community as a whole by reaching out to each individual aspect. Like B.O.S.S says, business, occupation, service, and special significance. I'm going to choose service because that's my forte. I've been a volunteer firefighter. I've done numerous things in the community. Service is my heart, and anything I can do to help anybody in the community, that's what I always do.
All right.
I
Next.
am Conscious. My organization is called Conscious Thought. What we do is go from neighborhood to neighborhood, talking to young guys about finding themselves. I will have to choose significance because we must be significant in order to bring our brothers from hell to living right and exact. Next man.
My name is Marcus Scurry. I'm the founder of Realize My Dreams Incorporated. Basically, we have a minority male scholarship fund, a middle school mentoring program, and we do various community service programs and projects in the community. I would have to choose service because I am who I am because I choose to serve people that are less fortunate, and I believe that that's what life is all about. You get blessed to bless other people. So.
My name is Antonio Mack. My stage name is Johnny C. Weaver. I'm with Spoken Word Spartanburg. I started volunteering with young people when I was 16. I'm actually older than 16 now, so it's been a long time. I actually work with a nonprofit organization out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, also that teaches AIDS awareness to teenagers, AIDS and HIV awareness or whatever. And I was going to choose service and significance, but since those things I already spoke on, I want to talk about business. And bottom line is, if we don't spend money with people that look like us, we're not going to economically, we're never going to be successful. So I think that's very important in myself. I think that's something that I strive to do when I can. A documentary I saw recently said we got to circulate that black dollar, and it really touched me in a profound way. So that's what I try to do as much as possible.
My name is Donald Burton. I work for South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation. Been there about 30 years as a senior counselor, but my love is our organization called Dream Builders. What we do, we're a mentoring and advocacy organization. We agitate, brother. We work with African American males and females aged 6 through 17. We meet every other Saturday for 2 hours with these kids. We do social skills, life skills, got our advanced reading program with these young men and ladies to make sure that they're going to be prepared to speak the way you were speaking earlier. Bold, without fear, knowing what you know. And that's what we do with Dream Builders. And mine would be service as well because I love doing that, and I volunteer a lot of my time with that. We take our young men and young ladies on trips everywhere, and everything we let them see, we said let them see themselves in leadership. Like doctors, black lawyers, black school teachers, engineers, everything they see that they see themselves in the picture. A lot of people didn't like us for doing that, but then they asked why we did that. I said, because if our children saw a white doctor, white lawyer, they feel they couldn't get to that. But if they see you in the picture, I can reach that level.
My name is Prince Torrey Arnold. I'm the founder of a nonprofit corporation called the Point 8 Incorporated. And what we do is we provide services for current as well as ex-offenders. We have packages we send in. We help with GED classes, college enrollment, student loans, credit, bank accounts, legal assistance. We got pardon applications, voter registration forms they need. What we're trying to do right now is we're working with chaplains over a couple facilities, trying to get some monthly head-up sessions, go inside with the brothers and basically give them a heads up of what they need to expect when they're coming home as far as getting the credit straight and getting the bank account and the reason why they need this type of stuff. And I guess I'll choose occupation because that's the one everybody uses. I think it's important to have occupation. I mean, if you, like you said, you run around doing nothing all day, then you eventually gonna run into something negative. You're gonna run into some bad trouble. So that's why it's important to have some type of occupation. So.
And I'm Michael Gaskin. I didn't introduce myself. Last but not least, every day I get up and I have the best job in the world. I'm the executive director for Greenwood County First Steps. What we do, create programs, get children started in school. My other great job, not a job, my other great career is I'm the president and CEO of the Social Change Initiative. We have underneath that initiative, we have a Real Fathers or Dads program, Real Mothers or Moms. We also have a grandparent program. Also, we do appropriate response and preventative services for DSS in 4 counties, Greenwood, Abbeville, Lawrence, and Newberry. And we also have our Fatherhood and Real Mothers and Moms in 3 of those counties, Abbeville, Lawrence, and Abbeville, Newberry, and Greenwood. But that's a little bit about me. Glad to have you gentlemen here. First thing, our community is hurting. We talked about earlier that the dollar, the black dollar, used to in the 50s and 60s, the black dollars, or maybe 40s, 50s, and 60s, would go around 7 times in the black neighborhood before it left. Right now, I doubt if it even go over 1. And 1 for the church. So, business, why don't we have more black businesses in the neighborhood? What happened to our black businesses? Let's go, Mr. Scurry. Kick it off.
What happened?
What happened? Why don't we have more black businesses in the black neighborhood? In the black community.
I think the black community changed. I think when the elders in the community, when they died off, a younger generation came in and the neighborhoods became downtrodden. It's like the pride in the black community left when the elders passed on. You know, people went from owning their homes to renting, and I hate to say it, but it's a different mentality with a lot of homeowners versus a lot of renters. Not everybody, but that changed. And then when that changed, the black dollar changed as well. We lost the black supermarkets, and we still have a few of the black barbershops, but people choose to go somewhere else. You know, the black women choose to go to the Asians for their hair care products. I just think the pride left the community when the elders of the community passed on. And it's the miseducation of the black community.
I think it's a couple of things. One, we have to look at desegregation. We spend our money with us because that's where we had to spend it. And what happened is a lot of things with the civil rights and the human rights movement of the 60s, it wasn't about, you know, what people thought it was about a lot of times. It was about, a lot of times, richer black people want to spend their money where white folks spent their money. So as soon as, you know, Myrtle Beach is a perfect example. Once, you know, with Myrtle Beach, once we could go to the other side of the beach, all those buildings became dilapidated and were black owned. So you don't have black doctors. And the point about the black businesses, this is like anything else. You know, once we can spend our money somewhere else, those things suffer. And then you see people like the Asians and other races come in and say, hey, there's dollars to be made over there. Yeah. And, you know, they rush to it and go there. So I don't think it's anything necessarily with us that we don't have the ability to do it anymore. It's just the fact that, you know, the whole world changes for us, how we can spend our dollars.
Oh, 1 second, Donald.
Yes, sir.
Anybody know what Puckwood is?
Mm-hmm.
You know what Puckwood?
Yeah.
That's my father did. Okay, my pride wouldn't let me go in Puckwood. My pride. So black businesses have that, because remember when our parents used to sell on the side of the corner? Mm-hmm. So why did we lose that? Why did we decide that we don't want to do that no more?
Let me go back to that, and then go back to what Johnny was saying, and then I'll come back to that as well. Yeah, Mike's daddy worked Puckwood. We also cut Harold, my granddad. And Mike tells a story about when he passed by the rec center, and he didn't want the boys to see him in the Puckwood truck with his daddy getting down like this. That earthy gasket would tell him, say, you don't want your boys to see you. Put him out right there in the truck. So yeah, about Puckwood. And he made Mike, and I guarantee you, Mike is the man that he is today because of things that his dad instilled in him about that. But go back to that, what you were saying. The scripture says that after the death of Joshua, there arose a new generation who knew not the goodness of God and what he had did in Israel. Okay?
And what was that generation?
Okay. That was us, the lost tribe. Okay? Now, they did not know all the good things that had been done there. And that's the same thing with our kids. Like what you said, Marcus, that gap there. Okay? Now, right after Reconstruction, we decided what we was going to do. You know, the churches did a lot of things right after Reconstruction because they know that we had to get these things done. They started building colleges. They had businesses and everything. Morehouse was right after Reconstruction. All those schools and everything. We had 235 black colleges, and I would only have 104. We had 235 black banks, we have less than 30 now. So all of that happened because of that mindset of miseducation that ICE was cold on the other side of town, and that our stores was not up to the level what those stores were. And they're taking your money and putting it back. They'll take the money from you and put it back in a community that looks like them. And it says that it was a fool who buys his own tomatoes. He'll take your tomatoes somewhere else and sell them at a higher price. So
doing that gap.
yeah, all during that gap, so our people lost the knowledge of who they were and the power that we had to do those things.
So you're saying that there's a generation that was lost?
Yep.
Okay, so if this generation was lost, whose responsibility is to find it?
Just the next generation, but that generation, the grandparents want to be parents, and the parents want to be friends.
I got a question.
Okay.
We talk about the generation gap, and I may get in trouble for this, but like, if the ball was dropped, weren't they the ones that dropped it? Like,
My generation before that dropped the ball. Yeah. And what happened there, a lot of our grandparents didn't have the knowledge about certain things that you should have had, but they dropped the ball and say, well, son, like my mom.
It's all right.
Yeah, go get you a good job.
Go to school for 4 years and get you a job.
And you know, I thought about that, but I look at it, I say, well, hell, a good job. Not have to do all these things and get a good job. And I was really doing something negatively, yeah, so we dropped that ball. And I tell young men all the time, I'm apologizing for some of the things that the folks before me didn't do, that didn't instill in me some of the things that I should be. So I'm trying to do some things differently to make sure that we go back to our tradition of greatness that we did have.
Yeah, we gotta turn around. That's the whole point.
But don't they hate you for what you do different? Don't they hate you for what you do different?
Yeah, some of them do.
So if they hate you for what you do different, then what about your difference is going to attract them to make them want to do better?
It's truth though. I don't know how we're going to get around that. There's a force out there, let me say that.
Let's define who is they first. Who is they? Who are they?
Anybody that profits from our downfall. Anybody that can make money off of it. Anybody that can exploit it. Anybody that can manipulate it. Anybody that can do any of those
Anybody that
things.
knows the truth and refuse to speak upon
There
it.
you go.
There you go.
What you got to say about that, Travis?
I think business, I'm going to go all the way back to the original question. I think it's all a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge from them not understanding the importance of the black dollar being in the black community, and also the importance of them, the lack of knowledge of them not knowing how to reestablish a black business in the community today. And like Donald and Mr. Weaver said, it's because the ball was dropped. The ball was dropped, and now there's nobody that's stepping into that place to help them understand what was the importance, or how do we refocus the direction so that we can establish this black community back to the standards that it once was.
Now, Conscience, you spend a lot of time with a lot of the young brothers in the neighborhood. Do they feel confident in the businesses that, because a lot of times I hear this, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do they feel confident in being able to start a business? Let's be honest. Do they know how to start a business?
They feel confident in putting that pistol in their pants, and if you say no, they got a way to change your mind.
Okay? And brother, that's exactly where I need us to be.
Hard work.
Now that we know that young brothers want to start businesses, Donald, you said that it's a lost art. You and Mr. Weaver said, somewhere we lost it. I think you all were saying, okay, when did we lose it? How do we get it back? And how can we get these brothers to say that there's another way? Because they're doing business. But what business is about? Making money, right? So they're doing business. They're just doing the wrong type of business. How can we get them to see that there's another way?
Okay, let me tell you one thing that's okay. One place where we lost, where some things got separated with us, see, I call it fortunate and being unfortunate. I was at the tail end of segregation here in South Carolina, right here in Greenwood, and at the beginning of what we call integration, but I call it dissolving, but I was on both of those. So at the tail end of segregation, we left Brewer High School and went to Greenwood High. And we had to endure so much negative things where they would look up on them from third floor and would spit down on you and say niggas ain't shit. And every day there was a fight until we changed after the riot was there. And so our kids know nothing about what we went through to make those name changes.
Why don't they know?
We're trying to teach them. They,
No.
Why they don't know?
Hold up. See?
Okay.
No.
Because
This is why they don't
The
know.
generation before
They-
failed
We
them.
don't educate them. The schools, the
Exactly.
schools
School don't
teach black
educate,
history.
but we trying to
Parents don't
educate.
educate either.
Not even
Parents-
that. It's not the school's job to educate.
It's the parents. You got education starts at home. If your mom is 17 and she has a baby, and nothing gets, because I had a young mom, you know what I'm saying? But her reality was going out, in the 80s, going out,
Find a babysitter.
find a babysitter so her and my aunt could put something in their nose.
Yeah.
That was their reality. Me and my sister raised me. My sister was the first mother that I knew because we had a young mother, unfortunately. So that's the same thing. The cycle continues in 2013.
But
No,
see,
kind of
see,
disagree with
I-
some of
I-
that.
This thing here, all right, and I understand your story, but it's not the young thing, it's not whatever. We are broken. Every individual is broken. Until you look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm messed up. Let me find what my problem is addressed. I gotta take ownership of it. If we don't take ownership of it, that's the problem. So when you talk about moms and things like that, somewhere a grandma was, she didn't have a real conversation with that. We don't talk to our kids. We got over, like my grandmother said, we got over it. And now it's like we hate our past. Like, I hope they don't have to grow up like I grew up. Why?
You know why?
Why?
You're not teaching them anything different.
Exactly. We don't talk to our kids. It's taboo. It's
When you
taboo.
bring the technology into play, like back in the days, if they'd be in the fields, where they in the garden, or they outside working, they out there in that sun, that's hard work. That instills something. But when you got the computer and all that come along,
And even that
and
can
you
be
sit in front of
used.
the
Even
TV,
that can be used as a tool. Somebody got to show them. And even with the young mother, think about a lot of our grandmothers. My great grandmother started having kids when she was 15.
Right.
All of her kids turned out fine. They went in the military, went to school, did whatever. So it's not the youth. It's what's
But
up
she
here a
is
lot of
still
times.
hard work, but she's still something in her
Exactly.
children. It starts with self.
It
If
starts
I have
at home,
children,
but
I can be 15 and I can choose to be a good father, but it starts with me.
At the same time, though, if you look at the reality today, like my father, the only thought of my father is him going to work all the time. Now, me personally, I don't see freedom in going to help make somebody else's dream come true when they don't give me nickels and dimes in return. So, and by my father going to work all the time, he negated to actually teach me the knowledge of self. He negated to tell me that, look, the black man is originally God.
But he thought he was doing what was right.
But he felt like he was doing what was right because that was the only thing that he knew. And I feel like we're all victims of tradition. And I tell them, if your mother and father was Muslim or Buddhist, you would be the same thing they were.
Exactly.
Because you didn't put forth the time or the effort to go and look for something different, to make a change in a different way. And by us wanting to step outside of the box, so to say, and do something different, it's frowned upon.
Right.
And when you look at the black businesses in the neighborhood, all you see on television is brothers and they are corrupt. It incorporates a stigma within the mindset. And when you go to that store, you look for flaws or whatever in that spot. And when you go to the store, exactly. But you don't look at the flaws of the oppressor to be flaws.
Because they done showed you that they ain't perfect.
Yeah. But we are the enemy. We are here to actually take it from you, to tell you we take it from you, and we expect for you to be silent about it. And that's the problem. Our parents didn't teach us to have knowledge of self. And if they taught us to have knowledge of self, and if we go to the neighborhoods and teach these kids to have knowledge of themselves, then the change that we're going to have, the economic change we're going to have, the spiritual change that we'll have, the mental change that we'll have, it's a domino effect. And just like steel sharpens steel, you got positive people, and you got brothers who's standing around like, when I go to the hood, of course, I square up. And when I'm squaring up on them, they're looking like, who this dude is? That's what I want you to do. I want you to actually look at me as being different. And then once you hear what I'm saying, but brother, how you get that? Where you get that from?
Laws of trash.
Now let me go back to something, because I think this is kind of like a tie-in on business. What Donald was talking about was back in the 70s, when they integrated. Greenwood High used to look like the Green Bay Packers uniform.
Right.
And Brewer, which was our black school, was garnet or red or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So what happened was a riot took place. And when the riot took place, what happened was they ended up changing the colors to the Greenwood High colors today. Kept the G for Greenwood, but turned black, gold, and white. They ended up having two queens, a black queen and a white queen, each grade level. Now, what happened after that, Donald? Real quick.
Okay.
Nothing. I help him out. You got the uniform. You got the your uniforms, you got your queens, and nothing. So what I want to get to now, I want to get to now, let's move to the next.
You know they gonna be talking in the parking lot, right?
We done had that conversation before.
No, occupation, jobs. I think Greenwood right now is somewhere in the neighborhood about 17% jobless.
Yeah,
14.
We
went down.
Greenwood is?
Greenwood.
It's 14% unemployment? Yeah.
With the highest dropout rate.
Higher than that with blacks though.
I went down to Charleston to sit in at something like this. Heard like something was real phenomenal. How many people are here on social media? Like you're on social media, raise your hand. You're on Facebook, Twitter, okay, whatever. That's a multi-million-dollar company.
That's right.
Years ago, to run a multi-million-dollar company,
What
you
you
needed
have?
hundreds of people to run it. Dude showed us the statistics. It takes about 30 people to run Facebook. Multi-million-dollar company. So you add that with the fact of now you're being invaded by Mexico or whatever. And call it what it is. That's not a racist statement. You're being invaded by Mexico. If you got 10 jobs and you got 12 people already here vying for those jobs, you got low unemployment. Now you take 30 people and add them to that.
Who will work for less.
Who will work for less and won't take a day off.
Right.
Won't any of their rights or whatever. Now you got 30 or 40, people that are unemployed or whatever. You still got those same 10 jobs. It's less jobs because of technology. And I won't be very brief because I don't want to monopolize anything. When brother told me the other day, he said, man, thousands of people lost their jobs because now elevator knows what floor to stop on. And then as I was coming here, it was yesterday I was driving, I saw the trash truck go by. A guy in my neighborhood never would have knew. It looked like the poorest man in the world was basically, had 6 figures. Because all he did was run a trash route. And he owned the route. So now, that same job, we had 3 people to dump the guy over there.
Yeah.
Now
the crazy
somebody lost a job. Somebody lost a job.
The points are very valid, but let me tell you, our businesses that our grandparents, that lost generation, is still money making business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Who's owning them?
you can ship your vegetables wherever you want them, just by the internet.
Yeah.
But we didn't see the pride in that. We lost. Now we say get education, right? Occupation, get education so you can do what?
Work
Get a
for
job.
somebody else.
Get a job.
Get a job.
And so I think the brother said earlier that nobody pays you for what you do. Well, business says you in business do what? I'm not going to pay you what you want. Why should I, right? So how do we answer that question? Occupation. How do we create jobs? We can't intern. Not in our community, because why? We don't have
anything to intern.
So how do we create jobs in our community?
By creating change.
We got to create services that have the jobs available for, like the service that he got, the conscious got, as far as going out talking to people, to the young kids. If he's in a position to pay people to do that, you know how many people be applying for his job, trying to work for him? Like, you know what I mean? Just it's a service that technology don't have their hands in, but it's needed. So therefore, you have room for the workforce.
So let me throw another question in there for the panel. So capitalism is good.
It's what?
Capitalism
No.
is good.
Not necessarily.
Okay, let's expand on it.
I think we got a hand here.
I'm gonna listen to the panel because that's.
You say capitalism was good.
Listen. Like anything else, it all depends on who's behind it.
Right.
You understand? To me, it's stupid if that chair costs 30 cents. How much money do I have to sit and say, okay, I'm gonna sell it for $300? That's just plain. That's like going to kill all the buffalo. So when you look at and not being able to use it, so you look at capitalism. It depends. You got natives, Aboriginal people in this country.
But they ain't need buffalo.
Use the buffalo for everything. And you're just gonna go kill 100 of them and say, look, my machine gonna kill 100 of them. That makes no sense. So capitalism is like anything else. We're flawed as human beings. You put us in these positions, it can be a problem. If money is your strictly only goal, you have an issue.
Now listen to what Brother Weaver just said now. It's according to who's behind it, right?
Yes.
Now, there's a movie that came out many years ago called A Vernon John Story.
Yeah.
Okay? Remember when he was trying to sell the fish and vegetables in front of the church, and the black folks wouldn't buy it? But they went over to the white folks' church, went over there to the white folks' vegetable stands, bought all that. He was trying to get them to become entrepreneurs and realize trade with your own, but that mindset that they had. But see, they go back to what you said, who's behind it. So they had conditioned that mind that Those vegetables and that fish are bad. Don't go get it from him.
Because they come from a
Because they
brother.
come from a brother.
Cold.
Yeah.
Okay, would you all agree on one thing, that in order for capitalism to work, you gotta have the
Somebody
number one
capitalize.
thing, you gotta have capital.
Yep.
So if we don't have capital in our community, how can capitalism work in our
You
community?
gotta have somebody
Gotta
capitalize
have
on.
somebody
You
capitalize on.
gotta have somebody capitalize on.
Now,
That's
go back,
what happened.
wait a minute, the brother, let's go back to what brother said here, and it's right, we spent 2 years ago when they did the state loans about $648 billion after taxes, we put that back into the community and back into the American economy, something like that. The most was spent on houses, next was, no, the most was spent on cars,
yeah,
next was
yeah.
houses, and we spent $10 billion on cell phones and accessories, the least amount of money was spent on education.
A cell phone that only lasts about 6 months now.
Your
Then
floor
you gotta
brother
get another one.
But why was the least amount spent on education?
That mindset again.
Because they don't want
What's
you
the mindset?
educated.
If you educate a brother, then you teach him how to feed his family.
Right.
But if you don't, then
So-
he'll continue to
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, hold one second, because before Brother Thomas said, what is education? The
Depends.
education system is a business.
It's a business.
It's a
They
business.
making money.
That's
They're
right.
training, they're
They want you
training.
to go to school.
That's right.
They're
They
training.
want
They're training you to remember,
They're
not to think
training.
outside the box.
Look, it's a good time.
Education.
I want to say one thing.
That's why they found that man not guilty.
I want to say one thing.
Killed off a young black man.
Break it down to the smallest form. You asking about capitalism. Break it down to the smallest form. A form. It's a apple tree right there. That apple tree belongs to everybody. We make so many jokes about stuff with comedians and television shows, and it doesn't make sense. That apple tree belongs to everybody. So if you go get it, and your wife makes apple pie, and your wife makes apple cider, and my wife does preservatives, and your wife does whatever, or and then you take it and you do something different with it. That tree provides something for everybody.
Exactly.
It takes a person with a screwed up mentality and it's greed to
say
come say,
all
you know
of
what,
it
you know
belongs to me.
what, you know what, I'm gonna put a fence around this and this
So
is
you
mine.
can't get to it.
Now wait a minute, I'm still not making enough money. So you know what, the baskets that you pick, sometimes it can poison the tree. So now you have to use a special basket.
Yeah.
You can buy this basket from me. So now I gotta buy the basket from you. And that tree that was there for everybody, now it's yours. Capitalism at its greatest. Is that capitalism? Yes,
Exactly.
but it goes back to